Hello and welcome. I'm RiverSoft Art, and I'm here today to talk about billboards and specifically Now Crowd billboards for DAZ Studio. I want to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of billboards, what my series of Now Crowd products bring that are even better than normal billboards, and how to use them. So first off, what is a billboard? A billboard is simply a plane with an image mapped on it. It has no 3D depth. So what does this mean? Well, since it's a plane, it is extremely fast to render. It's very light on resources. It doesn't take, you can easily put a lot of figures into your scenes to make them lively. A common problem with DAZ Studio scenes is that you have these beautiful scenes from stonemason or Favreau, but they're, lifeless. There's not a lot of figures in the scene. You bring in 3 or 4 figures and they easily start overwhelming your computer. It's also difficult, or it takes a lot of time to actually set up each figure. You have to bring in the figure, you have to put the hair, the clothes, the pose, everything else. Make sure there's no, make sure there's no poke through, that type of stuff. So billboards give you this automatically. What are disadvantages of billboards? Well, obviously the shadows are baked in. Since there is no depth to the 3D geometry, if we have a light coming from over here, it's not going to only light this side and make this side dark. You still get shadows. You'll get shadows on the ground, but it's kind of, it's coming from the entire plane. So what other disadvantages? Well, you're stuck with what you're given. You have whatever the author of the billboards, whatever their scene they've made, that's what you can use. Now, commonly with billboards, what you'll get is, this plane, and on the diffuse color, you have the image, and on the opacity strength, you have the mask. And if you're lucky, they have 4 different images of a figure and pose. They'll have one from the front, one from behind, one from the left, and one from the right. What Now Crowd Billboards does is it does this on steroids. So you have 72 different angles on this figure, 12 from different, turn this 12 different angles on the horizontal axis and 6 on the vertical axis. And unlike other billboards where you have to change these 2 channels, you can easily just bring up the script and drag the slider and see the billboard change. And it automatically changes the diffuse channel and the opacity strength. And we can do the vertical angle as well. So with traditional billboards, you get basically just the view from the front. Let me use this script to face it. And if you change the camera so it's up here, you can change it so it looks like he's facing it, but it's not going to match the scene. With Now Crowd Billboards, you can then change the vertical angle to make it more, integrate better into the scene. The disadvantage of my product is because there's 72 angles per billboard, this is a very large number of images. 72 images plus masks times usually around 30 figures, and you easily get into the 10 gigabytes. But that's on the hard drive. In your actual scenes, it's still just one image on a plane, and it's still really light and everything else, but it is something to be aware of. Okay, so now, first. So I have 12 different products at this time in the Now Crowd Billboards line, and they cover a range of genres. We have the contemporary genre, modern city life, party time. We have medieval era. We have fantasy with elves, dwarves, orcs, and hobbits. We have the future with droids, people, and aliens. A little bit of aliens that are kind of the horror type. We can go to the beach, and we have the school. And an upcoming product is Now Crowd Billboards Office Life. And this is 32 billboards to fill your office scenes. So as you can see here, I have probably like 20 different figures in this billboard, in this scene, and it took no time to render. It really was just the time to render the entire office environment, not the actual figures. And yet the scene looks really full of life, very interesting. People are talking, they're sitting, they're drinking coffee, shaking hands. It's a great product for filling your office scenes. And if you change the camera angle, you can change your billboards to match. And it's easy to integrate into multiple different environments. As I mentioned, there's 72 billboards or 72 images per figure billboard. You know, the different vertical angles on this, and then the horizontal. And we have a script to orient the billboards towards the camera. The plane has to face the camera in order to not have this shear that you see here. So there's a script that easily turns the billboards to face the camera. And then there's that other script to change the angle quickly and easily. And with Office Life, there's 32 different billboards with men sitting, drinking, talking, listening on the computer, carrying briefcases, and women the same way. Okay, and it can be used for things not just for office. This is a library scene. So it's almost like a graduate level library. And it could be used even in the city, some of these, obviously. Okay. Let's get started. I want to show you how, now what I want to do is show you my workflow for creating promos with Now Crowd Billboards. It will show you how easy it is, but hopefully those who use billboards will learn, some tips and tricks on how to use them more effectively and to how to get around some issues you do have with billboards. So the first thing, we need to load in an environment, and we're going to load in the executive office environment from Iron Man 13. And I think we're going to go to camera angle 8. But to be interesting, I'm going to go from the top. So right here, traditional billboards, usually from the front, will not be able to integrate very well into this scene or this camera angle. So there we go. So you go to the Office Life. This is not the correct, this is my installation of it. And you bring in some billboards. So let's select some. All right, that's probably enough. We merge them into the scene. And the first thing you notice are, where are they? Well, they load in at 0, 0. And it looks like it's over there. And it actually is. It's behind this glass. There they are. So the first thing I do when I bring in billboards is it's very easy with 32 billboards or even more if you use my other products to kind of overwhelm this scene hierarchy. So I like to take the billboards and I first create a group for them so that I can work with them as a group and also reduce the scene hierarchy. So let's bring them into the room, and we'll just bring them into the middle here. Okay, so you can see there's the shear. If I'm going to leave this camera so we don't mess it up, but go to the perspective view. There's a little bit of shear from where they're coming from. So going back to camera 8, let's select all our billboards. And the orient billboard script will turn them to face the camera. Now, one of the first things you will notice when you're working with these billboards is, let me bring him out here, is that loaded in their default angle and image, they are set up so their feet are perfectly just lined up with the ground. But as you manipulate, change the angle, and especially if you go to the vertical, it's going to pull up, and it's actually not going to be on the ground, and you're going to have to change the y-axis and line it up. So I usually use this texture shaded so I can see the billboards. If you go with other views that don't have actual textures, smooth shaded, they're just blank, and that's not very useful. And then I would love to use iRay, but that's not fast enough. So I usually go with the texture shaded. So the first thing is I move the camera up. So we're going to move or change the angle for all of them to around the this one. And I think that's right. Let's see. If I went up to around the 30, yeah, I think that's too much. Yeah, that's way too much. All right, cancel that. So then I move around the billboards. We'll have this gentleman here. We'll get someone to talk to him. And as I move them around, I need to, I will change their angle, and I need to make sure the y-axis, they're right on the floor. There we go. And one of the other things that happens is usually at the end, I do a check. I select all of them and I orient them towards the camera. Because if you notice this one here, let's undo that. It changed quite a bit because I moved it from its original facing the camera was here, but it's been moved over here and it needs to reorient towards the camera. So you need to make sure you check that because you will otherwise have the characters floating above the floor, which doesn't look very smooth. So let's move the different ones. All right, so sitting billboards are a special challenge. So I've created the pose using, like a standard chair. But often with scenes such as this one, the chairs are not the same distance from the base where you sit to the floor. So if you move the character so he's sitting on the chair, his feet will be in the floor. So you have to be kind of creative. Sometimes what you can do, let's use this one here just to show. Sometimes I need to turn him around, obviously. There we go. Accept that, and we got him clipping, so we need to and if I move him down, if I keep it so his feet are visible, he's hovering way over this. Sometimes you can get away with just changing the scale. You could change it to like 150. And if it's far in the scene, it may not look wrong. So that's one thing you can do. In this case, I'm kind of lucky because of the camera angle. The feet are hidden. They will never be rendered. Now, since he's at the bottom of the image, it's looking a little bit like I need to adjust his angle to the next one up. And well, I can ignore the clipping. So that's going to, even though that's clipping there, in our camera view, it's not going to show. Let's get someone who can be talking. All right. And this one, he's obviously talking this direction. One of the things you can do and that Now Crowd doesn't support is that you can flip the image. So let's place him in the scene first. These are tough chairs. So he's looking this way. You can, let's make sure it's oriented toward the camera. You can take this one and rotate it around. What would it be? 180 plus 35. 215. Yep, that's not going to be right because I need to also do the other rotations. But you could flip it so it actually shows up. You could either flip it in DAZ or you could flip it in like Photoshop. But this is something you can do if you really want more scenes and you want them facing the other direction. Most of the billboards are deliberately made so that they are looking to the side. They're never looking straight ahead, so that you can work with them to make them interact with other characters. If they're just straight ahead, it usually doesn't work as well. What we're going to do with this one, because I don't want to take time to figure that out, is we're going to have someone, we could have this person here. So, all right, so let's take the guy that's sitting and talking. Oops, wrong script. Put him so he will be looking. All right. These are really tough chairs. Bring this one down. We're going to turn him around. And let's adjust his angle. Nope. Actually, he looks better here. It is somewhat of an art. Now, I'm not going to worry about how he's clipping or not clipping, because all of that is hidden off screen. All right, and this person's feet are, I'm sure, clipping. If we go to a different angle, different camera, yeah, but it's not showing because of the table. Okay, so let's get some more standing people. We're going to put him down at the front desk. Turn him to face some people we're going to add. And let's make sure the wide translate is good. There we go. And move them in a little bit there. We'll have him join. I'm making this in real time for you to show you choices I make, but this means, sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. There we go. So they've come to the front desk. Hi, we have an appointment with RiverSoft Art. All right. So this is the guy that's talking. Another guy that's talking. Okay, yeah, this is the big boss. He's going to come out of his doorway here, I guess. And let's face him. There we go. And he's going to be talking to this woman, giving her a headache, I think. right, and move her over. Oh, one of the scripts I didn't talk about, and I want to briefly, is we have a new script called Now Crowd Move Away. This script moves a figure directly away, along the ground plane, away or towards the camera. So at 1, it's where it is before. If it's greater than 1, it moves these people farther away. If it's less than 1, it moves them closer. This is especially useful for HDRIs. When your scene is not actually 3D geometry like this one, it is very difficult. I generally like to use the X and Y, X and Z translate sliders to move figures around. But with HDRIs, that is really difficult, especially to get the figures very far away. And this is excellent for using that. I recommend that greatly. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have here? So we'll bring her down here. Turn her to face the action. Adjust her Y a little bit. Yep, she was hanging in the air. I should check this one, by the way. Yep. Now she's looking a little farther away. There we go. Oh, you'll notice that even though billboards are closer or farther from the camera, they can be in front of the camera. Like this gentleman here, his pants are, he's in front of the other one. That's just an artifact of this viewport texturing, and when you render, you're not going to have a problem with that. It will actually render properly. Okay, the two men greeting each other, maybe we'll put them in here. Yeesh, can't see them at all. I believe when it renders it will show up. We'll find out. And I'm going to just guess and make them face the camera. This is a little bit of a... Let's hide that briefly. There we go. So we take that. There you go. Okay, young man, welcome to my office. You want a job. All right, so that was the office fronts. All right, let's see, who else? The woman leaning is going to be talking to the two gentlemen at the front desk. Let's turn her. There we go. And I gotta adjust the height. And this one's going to be a little bit problematic because the figure, the hands are below the desk to get the woman's feet on that. So we're going to use our creativity. We're going to turn her like this. And we're going to put her behind the seat so that we can get the hands up here on this. And we're going to drag the seat this way and like that, so it can kind of hide what she's doing. So she's here talking to them. We're going to put that woman who's sitting, which one? No, the other one. We'll put her in the seat. All right, we need to turn her. There we go. And looks like that will get the legs right, and hopefully the feet will be hidden behind the chair. Let's change the Y a little bit. There we go, so that the feet are hidden by the chair legs. So hopefully that'll work. We'll find out when we render. Yeah, we will bring in this woman and we'll have her be talking to the other woman in the chair. So let's get the height right. All right. Let's get the woman sitting. How do I want her? I think I want her in this seat over here, so she can be facing. All right. Let's move her down. Yeah, she's still way far away from the seat. I'm deliberately going to do it so that she intersects, so I can find out where she is in the scene. Then move her up. Alright, her feet are going to be a little off. Let's use this other woman to perhaps hide that. Alright, we're almost done with our scene. The coffee woman. All right, this gentleman will be walking in just by himself from this direction. Let's turn him around. Do I need to change his angle? No, I'm going to keep it at 15. There we go. And then the woman drinking coffee, she will be talking with these people or over here. I don't know. What looks best? Let's try her over here. Nope. There we go. Okay, so we've populated this room with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 figures. And actually really quickly. So let's see how it looks. Let's turn on the NVIDIA iRay preview and wait for it to pull in. Now probably some of them are floating slightly above the floor, which we'll need to tweak. And I forgot to actually hit that orient keyboard for all of them, so I probably need to tweak that as well. Let's select all the figures and accept that. Okay, all right, so let's see. The light's coming in a good direction for these billboards. The billboards, as they are rendered, have a slight, if you take this woman with the coffee, it's going kind of behind her at a 45-degree angle, a very slight soft shadow. So if you match up your lighting or your main light or some light with that, in general, they will look correct. Now this looks maybe a little blown out. Let's bring up the render settings and change the exposure. Now I'm trying to see. That looks pretty good. Her feet look good. Her feet look good. Hid hers. That looks pretty good there. Actually, it looks like I did a really good job for this. I think this works. Okay. So let's save this. executive office. All right, so I think that works as a promo. I'm going to render it for the final scene for including in the product. Okay, the render is finished, or it's gotten far enough, and I stopped it. And things are looking good, though there are some issues I think we need to clean up. The biggest one is the two-person billboard over here. You notice the gentleman's feet are way off the floor. The issue with two figures in a billboard, or for a billboard where the person is lying down, is that there's a long area of the image that needs to map to the floor, and unless it's going in the exact same direction as the floor, it's never going to actually look like it's meshed into the scene. There will be something floating. You're going to have that anyway with billboards, but it's kind of worse in this case. Couple other issues. I don't like how this guy's just kind of staring off and not looking at this other guy, and I don't think these two are really interacting with that one. So let's go back to Daz Studio and fix stuff. We'll do the easy thing. This one, we'll just turn him a little bit. There we go. And we need to move him down so he's touching the floor again. All right. I think I saw this one slightly up. Is it? Nope. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, it probably is better if it's a little up. All right, so we need to fix these. First, I think we need to rotate her so she's looking more this way. And then we're going to have to move her down. And we're going to have to move her seat. So let's unselect that, get to the seat. These ones are in the way. Can I get to the seat yet? Nope. There we go. Let's translate it this way. There, that should be good. And let's move or rotate this woman. And I'm going to hide the sitting woman so we can see her better. Let's move her hand down to the desk. Wow, it's way up there. It's very easy not to see these things. All right, I think that might work. Let's see. I kind of want to see her face a little bit, so we'll do that. Okay, I think that might be better. Let's see. I think I want this door open. Make this look more like he's inviting these two women in to his office. And finally, we need to fix this. So usually what I do with these is I try and hide part of it that's floating, either behind this man or that man or behind the desk. So let's see what we can do. Sometimes you can rotate and get it more accurate, but I don't think it's going to work as well for this one. Let's do this. All right. And we need to move him up just a little bit. Oops, I didn't hit accept. We need to move him up just a little bit. There we go. And now we want to move him back. All right. I think that's it. Oh, we need to turn this back on. Let's bring up the iRay, NVIDIA iRay preview so we can see through the glass and make sure everything's correct. All right, let's see. Yeah, I think that looks good. You can't see that he's floating, but we can't see him a little bit. Maybe we will move him over slightly. Oops, wrong way. All right. Yeah, I think that can work. What do you think? Looks pretty good? I think it looks pretty good. All right. I'm going to render this in a moment, but let's save this. And we'll call it Executive Office Final. Now, I'm going to render it and put it at the end, but I wanted to talk about one more thing. So when we change the camera angle, let's say we went up here, and for simplicity's sake, we'll go up to all these sitting people here, or standing people here. So the first thing, obviously, you would do is change the angle, so it looks like we're looking at them from above. Is that enough, or do you think I should do it more? We'll go with that. So when you do that, they are going to be floating way over the floor. We need to bring them down. There we go. Let's get him, bring him down. Bring them down. And him. He needs to come down too, just to look right. There, that will get it close. Now, you're noticing these shadows where you can see the edge of the billboards, and the soft shadows are cut off. It's possible it doesn't look too bad. Let's go to the NVIDIA iRay preview just to see. It actually doesn't look too bad at all. You can kind of see it if you're paying attention there and up there, but not terrible. But I just wanted to say the other thing you can do is you can select the billboards, bring up the change billboard angle, and turn off soft mask. This will basically only make the mask be around the figure itself and not the soft shadow at all. This sometimes makes it look better. Other times, the soft shadow really makes it easy, or helps blend the figure into the scene. But from the top angle, a lot of times that can be problematical. And by turning it off, I actually do think in this case it's improved it. They've got some shadow around this guy. He's got a shadow. But in general, we don't see those angles or anything. So that's something to be aware of when you're doing angles from the top, that you can turn off the soft shadow mask. And I actually think that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's it. This was a pretty long video. Thank you for staying with me if you did. And I will post the rendered video at the end. Have a great day.